thrilled to be back in the city of brotherly love. We need some brotherly love here in America. We need some brotherly love right here in Philadelphia. And that's what all of you represent here today. I am just fired up, especially because it's such a beautiful day. You know, spring is here. Spring is here in Philadelphia, and spring is here in America. And it is time for us to renew the spirit of America. That's what this campaign is all about. You know, I have now been running for president for a little over 3 months, although it seems a lot longer. And everywhere we go, we have been seeing these enormous crowds. You know, we have seen 20,000 people in Atlanta, 20,000 people in Austin, Texas, and 12,000 folks in Oakland, and 8,000 in Cleveland. And, you know, sometimes when I'm about to go on stage to address these crowds that look just like this one, people every race, every creed, every age group, people with disabilities, gay, straight, you name it. Sometimes I reflect on how I arrived at this place. And I think about the first political race that I ever ran. Some of you know that I live in Chicago, but got some Chicago, there you go, Chicago folks. But I am not originally from Chicago. I actually moved to Chicago after college, because while I had been in college, I had become inspired by the civil rights movement. I was inspired by these young people, straight back, clear-eyed, that decided to get on the freedom buses, or decided to march, or decided to sit at a lunch counter, because I thought to myself, there's nothing more noble than making the decision to put your life, your body on the line on behalf of freedom and justice in this country. And I had been too young to participate myself in the civil rights movement. But I thought that in some small way I might make a contribution. So I wrote to every organization all across the country to see who might hire me. And finally, I found a group of churches on the far south side of Chicago that had formed a community organization to deal with the devastation of steel plants that had closed. Tens of thousands of people had been laid off of work back in the early and mid-'80s. And homes were being foreclosed, and commercial strips were deteriorating. Young people were standing on street corners, lost, without hope, without prospects for the future. And so these churches decided they wanted to come together to do something in their communities. And they pooled all the money they had, and it turned out not to be very much. So the only person they could afford to hire was me. And I remember going out there for $12,000 a year plus car expenses. And for the next 3 years, I worked with them to set up job training programs for the unemployed, and after-school programs for youth, and tried to reform the schools and bring city services to communities that had been neglected. And it was the best education that I ever had, because it taught me that ordinary people can do extraordinary things when they're given an opportunity. When they have access to the decisions that are made, they can influence America in a better direction. So I took that knowledge with me when I went to law school, so that when I came out, instead of taking the conventional path, I organized a voter registration drive, and we registered 150,000 new voters to help Democrats win in 1992. And I started a civil rights practice, represented people who had been discriminated against, and I started teaching constitutional law at the University of Chicago Law School.